Well, hello. Welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, we're going to be doing, well, what the Italians might call porchetta, or what the French would call a roulade. Hey, what this is, we're just going to take some pork, we're going to open it up, we're going to stuff it, roll it, and cook it up in a very special way. And I've got two different sauces I'm going to show you also. One made with chilies, and the other that's more like a French beurre blanc, where we're just going to use some wine and butter. Okay? Now this is a wonderful thing, so I'll tell you what, come a little closer, and let's get into the ingredients. I'll tell you what, watch this one, you're going to be amazed. It's a good tasting dish. Come on up here. Now for our ingredients, we have a simple pork tenderloin. This is some basil. Here I have butter, wine. These are chilies. This is guajillo chili. This is the chipotle chili, and these are our bold chilies. These are very hot. If you wish to omit them, feel free to do so. Here I have some grana padano cheese, as I mentioned, butter, and also we have some prosciutto. It's a nice dried ham. Now let's get on to making this wonderful dish. It's very simple, very tasty. We'll start with our chilies, getting those soaking. First thing that we want to do is to get our chilies soaking, because these are going to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to soak out and make a nice sauce. Now if you notice what I'm doing here is I'm just slicing this open vertically. You don't have to go through both sides. You just have to open it so that water can get up inside of it. And on the inside here, even though it doesn't feel like it, there is a flesh, a pulp, that we want to rehydrate, and we're going to extract it from these using a simple food mill. You can also, if you want, just wash out the seeds, remove the stems, and run these through a food processor or through a blender is even better. So these are some different methods. So let's just get up ahead of this and get slicing these open. All of these, goodness, that one's broke open. If they do that, you know, when they're dry, they can be a little bit tough. Don't worry about that. These are a very popular chili these days. It's called a chipotle chili. The first ones that we put in were the guajillo chilies. A chipotle chili is simply a jalapeno that has been smoked, and these been dried out. And what we do is we rehydrate these, and it gives me that smoky flavor that the chili took on when it was being smoked. So that is the advantage to using chipotles. It gives you the smokiness like a barbecue. Now, these are bold chilies. You want to be quite careful with them. They're extremely hot, so if you're not used to using them, I would say add 1 or 2 maybe. If you notice the number of seeds that are in them is extreme. Split this open. It's just nothing but solid packed seeds in there. And with those seeds also is a very strong form of capsaicin. And capsaicin is the hot part of the chili. Now, I don't want my sauce to be kind of spicy hot. I enjoy that. So I'm adding 5 of these. If you want it to be extremely hot, add 10 of them. But I would experiment with them first before I go really seriously wild with them, okay? Now, we have them soaking in hot tap water. Ouch, it's very hot. And I want to give these a couple of hours. And we're also going to be putting that simple pork loin together also. So, next thing we're going to do, onto the pork loin. It's time for us to go ahead and assemble our pork tenderloin. Now, the first thing I like to do is just to go ahead and glove up. And the reason I do this is it makes cleanup after I'm finished working supremely quick. All I have to do is pull these off, and I'm clean and ready to move to the next project. Alright, now, what I want to do here, I'm going to transfer this. Now, I've put this, if you've noticed on my red cutting board, remember, cutting boards all have a reason and designation. The green ones are for fruits and vegetables. Red ones like this are for red meats like beef and pork. And if you did some elk, that would be a good red meat, or deer. Okay, now, lamb. what I'm going to do here is make a simple cut into the side of this. If you'll notice what I've done is just to split right into it about halfway. I'm holding it firm just to keep it from jiggling around on me. I'm making a very gentle, soft slice. And I want to cut far but not too far. I'm going to place some plastic over this. You can use nothing at all if you wish. I like to do this as it makes it a little cleaner. Very gently, I'm tapping it out now. There we go. Now we have it thin enough. That'll be easier. Go, sticking there. Before I put that down, I want to take this and sprinkle it with my cheese. This is a grana padano cheese. The grana cheeses are the hard cheeses like Parmesan, Romano, grana padano, and there's just all kinds of different ones. The padano has a tendency to be a little less salty, a little bit more creamy and smooth. It is not as intensely regulated as the Parmesan cheese is, and thus they can get a little more creamy product from this. However, I can say this, in Italy these things are closely regulated. If it isn't absolutely perfect, it does not go to market. It has to pass government standards inspection before it can go out. If the cheese is even slightly bad or off, or if it's just slightly salty or whatever, it does not go. I have to taste some of that. Remember to enjoy some of your wine as you're cooking. It's a good thing. Okay, on with this. Remember, cooking should be fun. It's not work. Relax. Take it easy. This is Parma prosciutto. Beautiful stuff. It's wonderful because you get that nice salty flavor, a ham-like flavor. Let's just take simple basil leaves. We're going to lay them out across there, and we'll pluck these off. The smell of basil right now is exploding in the air as I break these leaves free. It's a wonderful smell. I'll tell you what, if you've never cooked with fresh basil, you've missed out. The flavors that come off of it are fantastic. Now, let me get this end. There we go. A couple more large leaves here. I want to put one right on that end. There. Right here. Okay. Now we're to the rolling part. And once again, I'm going to use a nice little blue glove. Always keep a box at hand of these little guys. Now, very gently, take this and roll it. Nice tight roll. There we go. Now, if you'll notice, I have up here some string also. This string is real important because we're going to tie this little guy off. That way it keeps our stuffing in place, keeps it controlled in its movement. Now these knots are simple. Just fold it over, take it down just like your shoelace, do that a couple of times. There we have a nice little knot. Now I'm going to show you a neat trick if you're not used to tying up meat and you don't want to have to cut separate strings for each one of these, which you can do, by the way. You can just cut this here and take it under and tie it again and do it again and again. Or I can take the meat, let me pull it up this way, and go underneath, just like this. See how I've done that? Now I take the end of this one and loop it over it and pull it through. We pull this back, up, back. I can tighten it this way just by pulling it that way and then back this way. It tightens it. And if you notice, it trusses it also. You keep the string here, which keeps the meat controlled, growing and lengthwise or shrinking, and it gets the whole thing under control to help hold that in place. All I need to do now is cut off these loose ends. There we go. And I have my pork loin that's ready to be seared and cooked off. It's time for us to go ahead and mill out our chilies. They've been soaking now for quite some time, about almost 2 hours really. Now what I'm doing is just washing some of the seeds off and removing that stem. I don't have to wash all of the seeds out of it. I just try to remove the majority. That way they don't clog up my mill too much. Sometimes I'll tear these in half. I think it just speeds up the milling process is all. It's not absolutely necessary. Okay. Now we have our sauce prepared. It's all right on the bottom of our food mill. I just gotta scrape it off into this bowl. Got a little bit on the edge. And that's the advantage of a food mill, is you can quickly and easily separate your skins and seeds. See, that's all that's left up in here from the pulp inside. And it does a beautiful job of it. Now, I'm going to put this on my stove. We're going to heat that up. Now, watch closely at what I'm doing here. First, I apply some heat to my burner. I went ahead and turn it on high just to get it a quick start. I'm going to take this paste that I made. Some of the water ran into the bowl. That's fine. If you notice, it's really thick. It's like a tomato paste. And this is exactly perfect. And what this will do is it will absorb water just the same way that tomato paste does. Look how thick it sticks right to my whisk right there. Now I'm going to put in some wine. This is the white wine that we're going to be producing another sauce with. But this sauce is going to make it nice and fruity and light. The guajillo chili does that also. So we have some wonderful flavors going on here that are really going to contribute to what we're putting the sauce with. I want a bit of salt. That's about ½ a teaspoon there. Just a little bit more of that white wine. I started with a full cup right there, and right now I'm down to I think about 1/4 of a cup. Yeah, just slightly over 1/4 cup. I use about 3/4 of a cup, and it's going to be different each time you make this, how much wine you use. That's the reason I didn't give you an exact measure amount originally. That's because each batch of chilies are going to absorb moisture in a different way. We just have to see what each one does. Alright, now I just need to bring this up to a simmer, allow it to simmer for a little while, and what I mean by a little while is I'll stir this about every 10 minutes and simmer this no more than about 30 minutes. That way it'll reduce, push out that alcohol, and form an absolutely beautiful tasting sauce. Well, it has been 10 minutes. Let's check our sauce. It has been sitting here simmering on low. Looking beautiful. It's doing just fine. Now, as with anything that you cook, whenever you're doing this, you need to stop, take a spoon, and test it, and see what you have, and adjust your seasoning, okay? Oh, I want it hot, and that's hot. I tell you. More wine. That sauce right there has 3-alarm bite to it. Alright, I just need to let that sit for a little longer. And it does need just a bit more salt. we are. Give it time. Now, that sauce has simmered for 30 minutes. It has reduced. I added a little bit more wine, and it has reduced again. It's looking nice. It's a beautiful sauce. And all I'm going to do on this is allow it to cool. I'm going to turn off the burner, cover it, and it's just going to set. It'll be just fine. We have our beautiful tenderloin that we worked up earlier. Do you remember that we trussed it up? There's that little tear I had. And this is going to leak some cheese out as I sear it. Don't worry about that. If yours has the same problem, don't sweat it. And it's nice that you see a problem like that so that you can see, hey, just don't lose sleep over the thing. After all, you've got a whole open edge right here, right? So, let's go ahead and season this little gem. I want some salt and pepper all the way around on it. Now, I have had my oven heating for just a little bit now, for 350 degrees, and I'm going to be heating this saute pan right here. So let's go ahead and turn the burner on to high, and we're going to heat that up. I'm going to give it a few minutes, and then we're going to be right back as it heats on up. Test our skillet real quick to see if it's hot enough. Okay, you see how that evaporated quickly? Not quite hot enough. There we go. That's the kind of skating action I'm looking for. That formed into a large droplet. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and put down a high temperature oil, like peanut oil, vegetable oil. Canola will work also. I prefer peanut. High temperature. Works really well. Get that to coat the whole thing. And sear. Putting this down in the oven. You notice I have the seam side up. Apologies, the seam side not visible. This pan is quite warm. I'm in no rush to get that oven with. Alright, it has slowed just slightly on that cook in the pan. Put it in our oven to finish off at 350 degrees, and that should take about 20, maybe 25 minutes at the very most. And it's just going to depend on the thickness of it. And what you're going to need to do is to take your thermometer and test it for the temperature. Alright, now again we have some of our white wine that we're using. Whichever you prefer. I am using a Pinot Grigio for this, so it will be very tasty and kind of dry but still fruity. And I want to take my pan that I'm using. We're going to bring it back up in temperature, and it is still quite hot. However, I know it's not scalding hot because that oil is flowing slowly, you notice. So when I bring that back up in temperature and I hit it with this wine, it's going to break loose that fond that we built in the bottom. Now that fond, what I'm saying there, the word fond, is really a reference to this built-up crust in the bottom, and that was a result of the meats leaking out, or the juices leaking out of the meat. Oh my goodness! And I think it's been too much wine. Anyway, the juices will leak out and they'll form this crust down here, and you mix that with some wine and butter, and it forms a fantastic sauce. So for this, we're going to need a simple whisk. I'm pouring about a cup of that wine. I'm going to whisk this. Doing it beautifully. If you'll notice how I work the butter in, one or two, or sometimes like I started with 3 pats at a time. There we go. We're finished with that. I just need to wait for the pork to finish up, and we're going to have some wonderful combinations here. Now, let's go ahead and remove our pork from the oven. It has been in here for 20 minutes. Now, how do I know if this is ready or not? There's only one way to really tell. So let's come up a little closer. Now, while this is still nice and piping hot and right out of that oven, I'm going to insert my meat thermometer right up into the middle here. We're going to get a floor temperature, and I want 155 minimum. It's almost up to 150. Just hit 150 on it. I'm going to give my thermometer just one more moment to see what's happening here as the heat penetrates. I'm stable at 150. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes in the oven. I've just pulled this out of the oven again. It looks like I'm up to the correct temperature on this. So, we're just going to let it rest. And that needs to rest for a good 15 to 20 minutes, okay? So there's no rush on this. Occasionally stir your sauce, and that's all you need to do. It is now time for us to go ahead, remove this pork from the pan. It's been long enough that my handle has cooled enough for me to hold. It's still warm. In the bottom of this is enough of a fond that if you need to make a second sauce, if the first one wasn't enough, you can easily do it. So do not throw that away. Hang on to it. You may need it. Now we have this lovely little piece here and a knot right here that I need to cut through. There we are. Each one of these I'm going to go ahead and cut. There we are. Just wanting to hang on to it, but look how well it held that shape. It's beautiful. Now what I want to do is slice into this. See how beautiful it is inside, okay? Gorgeous. Now I'm making about little half-inch slices here. If you wanted yours to be slightly thicker, do that. But look at this. Look how moist, how juicy it is. It's just dripping. It's moist. This is an absolutely divine dish. Let's go ahead and plate this up and see what it looks like. It is time for us to go ahead and get this little gem plated up. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to take some of that beautiful sauce that we made the first time, this wine and butter sauce, and I'm just going to leave some right here on the plate. Beautiful little crescent of that. I'm going to take some of that pork. Very gently lay it right here, here, and here. It's beautiful. Now what about that other sauce though? This stuff, this fiery hot mix. Well, I'm just going to do a nice little streak right down this side over here. Separate item to dip into. There we have it. our beautiful, beautiful pork tenderloin, all rolled up with nice veggies inside, cheese, prosciutto, and this gorgeous sauce, both of them to go with that. Okay, I'm ready to dig in. Well, that's all there is to that. It's pretty simple, isn't it? When you get right down to it, there's just not a lot to this dish, yet it yields the most remarkable results. So, that's the fork test right there. It passed that one. Oh my goodness. Oh, the flavor of the basil just explodes through it. I'll tell you what, this is beyond fantastic. If you want a recipe that's going to blow you away, you got to try this one out. The chili just snaps with it. I'll tell you what, thank you for watching this. Thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today. And please, subscribe. Texas Cooking Today, you're going to get great recipes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today, the show where you can get great recipes and the best techniques are taught. Please subscribe to Texas Cooking Today, where you will always find something hot and ready to eat.